First weekend of October was ECQC Pennsylvania. It was a great weekend. We were in Butler, PA during the Trump rally. Jelly Roll, whoever that is, had apparently a huge concert at the same exact time, so all the hotels were booked, but it was still an awesome weekend, and here's the summary.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna shoot this one on the dip.
Just like most of these trips, I started with a 4 a.m. wake up, drove to the airport, made it to Atlanta, then to Pennsylvania where Craig picked me up. We had about an hour drive to get to Butler, check in for the Airbnb, and then get some lunch before getting ready to start the evening class, Managing Unknown Contacts. The Airbnb was an old 3-story, stereotypical Hollywood, Pennsylvania house. If I had to describe one, if I had to paint that mental picture, that's what it was to me. Definitely, it met all the requirements for the weekend, and it wasn't a bad place to sleep. Packed up all our stuff and then drove around looking for a place to eat. Butler itself seemed to be a really nice little city. I was impressed. We don't always have the time, but when we do, we definitely choose to drive around a little bit and see the town that we're visiting. Being on the road in so many different cities gives us a unique opportunity to see a huge variety of America. We ate at a small place called Chop Shop. It was themed like an automotive chop shop, and it took me a second to get that, but I put it together. This place really hits way above its weight class. It was good food. After lunch, I had to find a grocery store so I could get some food for the weekend. This turned into a goddamn adventure. First place I went to only had boxed macaroni and cheese, oddly, so that wasn't gonna work. Next place I went to was an additional 15 minutes from the first place, making my total trip 30 minutes longer than it needed to be, and every minute is another minute that I don't get to rest before starting Managing Unknown Contacts, which is a 4-hour block that we do in the evening after having woken up at 4 a.m. It's a long day. I get frustrated pretty fast, so I ended up getting myself some gummy bears to feel good. We drove to the range and met the class to get started with Managing Unknown Contacts. This is the first part of ECQC. It represents about 4 hours of instruction that we do on Friday evening from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Out of all the stuff we teach, this is definitely the most boring and the most useful for the most amount of people. Every location and venue that we go to is going to have its own unique challenges. This range on this day during muck, apparently it was dropping off a car with a tow truck. That thing was insanely loud and distracting. Yeah, so I have to get next to the phone because Craig is teaching, but you can hear the car. It is very hard to teach and present cogent material when there are a lot of loud distractions. It's a challenge. Despite the distraction, we pressed forward, continued training well into the night using a vehicle to light up the range so we could complete on time at 10 p.m. Picked up coffee on the way to the range the next morning. I do want to say we drink a ton of gas station coffee. I don't think I could tell you the difference between good coffee and great coffee, but I definitely know when I'm drinking piss water, and that's what this was. After a safety brief where we lay out all our expectations for the class, we set up the range and get ready to start our 4-hour block of live fire. During our lunch break, we had some friends who were helping out during this course, and they decided to do a little show and tell for us of their toys.
No, not at all. My hand loads are hot, but they're not, they just make power factor, that's all.
It just looks comical, right?
Oh yeah. I'm gonna shoot this one on the dip. You think I could hit it from like at the angle? Yeah, I don't think so. You're not straight lined up.
Well, that's what I thought with the
But that's
just
advanced.
revolvers.
Because of the wheel that spins. Centrifugal force.
Once everyone got back from lunch, we did a pat down, made sure everyone got rid of all of their live blades, guns, ammo, pepper spray, all that stuff. And then we go right into our base of and strategy for using wrestling in a weapons-based environment. Would like to use this to get behind her, which would be an even better position. However, her head is in the way. We finish up the base of wrestling right at about 3.5 hours and then immediately go into actual in-fight weapons access. We practice it cold first, and then we add resistance and accountability with marking rounds. What makes this less dangerous when you get a group of 20 strangers together trying to significantly resist each other in a drill is proper pairing. It's one of the most challenging parts of instructing these courses. Who do you pair with who and why? This is the first real opportunity we have to assess the effectiveness of the instruction on the intended ideal participant. A person who has never trained before in their life. Are they making better decisions and staying vertical? The final 2 hours of the first full day of ECQC is groundwork. We go over a summarized curriculum for moving on the ground that gets you back to your feet, back to a pistol, or something in between. We then have our first full evolution. That's the validation exercise for the day's training. This evolution is a grounded 1v1 where the person on the bottom has a loaded T-gun. It's super interesting to watch how much a person who has never trained before can retain in a moment of high anxiety and stress. I think that their performance under those conditions is a good evaluation of how well we're instructing our material. Once we finished, we went out to dinner with a couple of our friends and then had the long drive home. And on the drive home, we usually talk about what went well, what we could have done better, and what we might be looking to change in the future.
Does the curriculum. Yeah, that's not it, right? It's to give a weaker person, a less athletic person, enough technical grappling skill to deploy their weapons against a person who's untrained, but younger, stronger, more game, who might possibly have a weapon too.
Yeah. I mean, we saw that a lot of the people today.
Yeah.
They don't. A lot of them have never grappled before.
Yep.
Sunday morning starts with another live fire development block. This is usually when the fatigue starts to set in, so you see guys starting to move a little slower. Maybe their aches and pains are starting to build up, and we're very aware of the accumulative effect of training over multiple days. After lunch, we immediately go into our second evolution, a full spectrum experience where you are carrying concealed a training gun and you're approached by an unknown stranger. Now they can do whatever they want to do. We'll see where it goes, and then afterwards we debrief it, get your thoughts, get the other person's thoughts, get the thoughts from the group, and then move on. It's a really good way to build a lot of experience without the consequence of real life. Once everyone gets through the evolution, we do a little bit of retention, recovery, and disarm work, and then when the host has one, we do a gunfight in a car.
Shit, it ain't in this pocket.
Fighting inside of the car is not so much about fighting inside of a car as it is fighting inside of a cube, three-dimensional confined space. If you know how, you can exploit your knowledge of the environment to change the hierarchy of what is thought to be good positions. For example, if someone has your back while you're inside of a vehicle, it's not necessarily game over. It's a ton of fun and a really potent, valuable experience for anyone to go through. Then we fly home. That's pretty much a standard ECQC weekend. That's what we do.